Yeah. All I need is one mic. Yeah. All I need is one mic.
Hey everybody, welcome back to One Mic, where I watch shit so you don't have to. And today I'm here to talk about season 1, episode 5 of the AMC original show, Kevin Can F Himself. This episode is entitled New Patty. That title, I think if you watch the episode, pretty clearly refers to this new guy that Kevin and the gang meet at a bar named Patrick, an Irish guy who goes by Patty, which I always watch shows with the closed captioning on, so I saw that it was spelled P-A-D-D-Y, Patty. And he's going to be the new Patty, our Patty, because she was excommunicated after Kevin discovered that she didn't bring him back a burger from a place. But a pretty simple title to suss out there. It's pretty easy to put together. I thought this episode was probably the strongest one of the season. There was a lot to like here. The show really, I think, kind of got on the precipice of doing something really special and really turning the corner here, but they stopped short. And I think that's my only real issue with this episode, is that I thought this was about to take a turn. I thought they were about to really do something pretty interesting, and they stopped just short of it, and that bothered me a little bit. So what I'm talking about is there's a couple instances where it looks like Kevin's about to discover what Allison is up to. The first instance is right at the beginning, where Patty gets excommunicated because she didn't bring him back this burger. So what happens is Kevin discovers this burger wrapper in the back of the car, and it starts off kind of small, right? It's like, oh, okay, yeah, we stopped at a burger place, big whoop, right? But then Kevin, being the overbearing piece of shit husband that he is, was smart enough to do all of the research to figure out that the place that they went to was 3 hours out of their way. But not smart enough to make the connection that they didn't even go to this beauty expo, and just says like, oh, you guys went and got this burger place and didn't bring me back anything. Interestingly enough, Kurt, Patty's little boyfriend, did make this connection after Kevin calls him, which I'm going to do a little side diversion here. Again, very interesting that Kevin went to the trouble of, not just, you guys went to a burger place without me, but you guys went to a burger place without me, didn't bring me back something, so I'm kicking you out of the crew. And then furthermore, I'm going to call up your boyfriend and tell him how much of a piece of shit I think you are. And Kurt was actually smart enough to figure out that they didn't go to this expo. But I found it interesting the lengths that Kevin went to over something stupid like a burger, right? Even though it's not just a burger, we know that more is going on, but he doesn't. And he treated it like it was, because he's just that much of an asshole that not bringing him back a burger is enough to make him just do a deep dive and research how far out of your way you went to treat yourself. And I thought, they're really, really pushing Kevin to the brink here. But let me continue. So he excommunicates Patty. I'm going to stop saying excommunicates because he said it and I don't like him, so I don't like using the same terminology that he used. But he kicks Patty out of the crew. And we're thinking that he's going to discover that they didn't go to any beauty expo at all, but it's just this burger thing. So it's like, okay, whew. Second time, same deal. He's making a big deal about something, has Allison sit down, everybody's watching, and he says like, you think I wouldn't find out what you did? And she's like, well, what? And he's like, that you quit your job at the liquor store. And we again know that she actually did something much worse. She quit her job at the liquor store and then went and cheated on Kevin with Sam, who is also married. So they both cheated on their significant others, their husband/wife. The reason I both enjoyed and did not enjoy those scenes is because even though they took place in the sitcom world is starting to get a little darker, right? They bring in this Patty guy who's like sharpening knives and shit. And I thought this Patty guy was going to be the spark that made Kevin do something really fucked up, which is again why I was a little bit disappointed in this episode, even though I really enjoyed it, because there were so many times where I thought like, okay, this show, I should say, is about to take a turn. It's about to escalate. And I mentioned, last week that, this show needs a direction. It needs to let me know like, okay, where are we going? Because we've been in this cycle of Kevin's shitty adventures for the week and Allison coping with it poorly. And it's just been cycling. And this episode was no different. The only reason this one was better was because it looked like it was about to take things a step farther, but it doesn't go there. But the sitcom stuff is still getting a little bit darker, because I don't know about you guys, but there was, even in the sitcom portion, tension there. Not because I was concerned that goofy ass, dumbass sitcom Kevin was gonna discover what Allison's been up to, but because it feels like, and I gotta shout out whoever it is in the comments who points this out, but that Kevin, the sitcom world is like a blanket covering the fact that Kevin is actually a truly dark and abusive piece of shit, and this is just how Allison copes with it, kind of like seeing things in a sitcom world. And it felt to me like Kevin was at this point where that distinction was going to be broken and the two worlds were going to merge. And I feel like that's what this show needs, is for Kevin to essentially enter the dark world, or for the sitcom world to essentially kind of like disappear, and we reveal to see a true Kevin who is like a really, really, really big piece of shit. And he still is, but they mask it in like these goofy scenarios with the sitcom stuff. But the point of it really is that this guy probably overreacts to little things that are just Allison just trying to have something for herself. And he probably, as a mentally abusive manipulator, he probably blows up over the tiniest things. But we're only seeing it from this sitcom goofy perspective, and not from what it is really like for a woman who might be in a domestic abuse situation or in an abusive relationship. That reality, that harsh reality, we have not seen. Allison is just showing it as a sitcom thing, as a way of coping. And I thought that we were about to get that breakthrough. Like, I'm like, okay, this is actually about to get kind of dark. But it never went there. And that's disappointing to me. Even if it does go there eventually, I feel like it's going to take too long. Like now we're 5 episodes of the same shit over and over. And it's like, oh, I could see the potential for something really special here, and we're not getting there just yet. And if they wait until the finale to do something like that, it's going to be like, it's going to feel like he kind of wasted the past 7 episodes, because it's like, well, we already get the point right now of what this dynamic is. But, I think whoever put that in the comments, that this sitcom world is actually a coping mechanism for Allison, and that Kevin is like a lot worse than he appears. I'm starting to think that's probably pretty spot on, because it felt like that's the direction that we were going. But that's why I like this episode so much. But that's also my one criticism, is like, oh, we were so close to getting something that would really put this show over the hump and make it something special, and we went right there and we didn't get there. But let me talk about some of the other things that I did like about this episode. So the Patty calling Allison wallpaper, she really took that to heart. I like the fact that Allison decided to kind of like dip her toe in the world of like unethical behavior, right? To kind of like almost like rev herself up for killing somebody. Like, oh, I don't know if I'm ready to kill somebody just yet, so let me start by stealing lipstick. Like, okay, that's not really the slippery slope to murder that she probably thinks it is, but I still like the fact that she did that, especially because, and this is not me endorsing stealing by any means, but for the purposes of the show, in that moment, she runs into Sam's wife at this beauty supply place. The woman makes a comment that the worker there laughs at. The worker's disrespectful to her, as has been the case throughout the entirety of the series. Whenever she goes into this makeup place or whatever, the staff there treats her like shit. And the fact that she finally, even though it was like some little low-key shit, fought back by stealing this lipstick, which ended up being purple, and she throws it out anyway. But that's not the point. The point wasn't to have lipstick. The point was to kind of like give a fuck you to this makeup place staff, whatever. But I thought I liked that. I liked how, even though I don't condone her cheating on Kevin or cheating in general, again, I like it for the character, just because now now things are escalating, and I like the escalation because I feel like the show needs it. So now we're at a point where she was a victim. She's been a victim up to this point, and in many ways she still is. But now she's taking control of her own life and is saying like, you know what, fuck Kevin, I'm gonna go fuck Sam. And I don't endorse fucking Sam. Sam's married too. From both ends, they're both wrong. But Allison turning that corner of, I'm gonna stop allowing things to happen to me and I'm gonna start making shit happen. I like that direction for her character. So I thought those were good scenes for her. The whole scene where Patty and Kurt have this discussion after Patty decides that she actually does want to marry him. Like, why? They have this whole discussion, and where Kurt reveals that Kevin told him all about what they did, and he doesn't know anything about her, and he kicks her out. I thought that was a good scene because, I mean, at the end of the day, we know Kurt is whack. We know this is a very bland, drab life for the two of them, and the fact that Patty had a little taste of danger with this cop who's investigating her for this drug thing. Now she's kind of just like, yeah, I don't know if that's for me. Let me hop back into this bland and boring generic relationship with Kurt. And Kurt's like, no, get the fuck out of here. So I like that, just because I like the fact that Kurt actually had some backbone, and it shows something interesting for Patty in that, Patty's been kind of like always like this, whip smart mouth, kind of snippy person who's always got something to say. And you could tell that she wants something, like she's living on the edge a little bit. And she got too close to the edge and is like, you know what? I think I need to back up and re-engage in this boring lifestyle. Whereas conversely, Allison is doing the exact opposite. She's been stuck in boring, plain, drab lifestyle and is now on some like, I'm gonna drink, I'm gonna quit my job, I'm gonna do coke, I'm gonna like she's totally like going in the complete opposite direction from Patty, which I find that to be interesting, even though they share similarities in a lot of ways. The liquor store scene where she quits, which I just mentioned, I thought that scene was pretty good too. And again, another indication of the show getting just to the point of doing something special and then holding off. Because I really like the fact that after this guy bumps into Allison, he calls her a bitch, whatever, she starts to go off. The other woman she works with, I don't know if she runs the store or whatever, I think her name's Diane or Diana, one of those two. After this guy leaves, which she gives him like a free bottle of liquor, like, okay, yeah, you bumped into Allison and you called her a bitch, here's a free bottle. Okay. But she says something like, I got spit on last week, and like, this is just like, we have assholes who come in here, that's just part of the job. And I like the fact that the show is pointing out how accepting women feel like they have to be, how accepting of abuse they feel like they have to be. Like, Allison's like, what the hell? This guy shouldn't be doing this. This guy's an asshole. You just gave him a bottle. And Diane or Diana is like, this is just how it is. Like, it's not a big, like, she's so accepting and has relegated herself to a life of men being able to treat women however the fuck they feel like, and women just are supposed to deal with it. She's so used to that and so accepting of it that she's defending it. And that is a really interesting turn for this show to take. So I really like that scene. Again, I wish it had escalated just a little bit past Kevin coming on the cusp of discovering what's going on and potentially snapping, which I think is probably what's going to happen. He's going to discover what's going on. He's probably going to snap, and that sitcom world is going to disappear, and we're going to see that actor looking probably a lot scarier than he looks now, not right now, because he's like a goofy piece of shit asshole. Like, no one would be scared of this guy. But I bet he's going to snap, the sitcom world's going to go away, and he's going to look like he's going to beat the shit out of her, which he might actually do, which would be crazy. I don't think it'll go that far, but I feel like that's the direction it's going. And, I think, like, I like the fact that they are pushing right there, but I don't like the fact that they're not going there just yet. And they might go there, but I feel like it's taking a little bit too long to get there, because we're still kind of in the process of we're still dealing with kind of like the show making a point. And the point was clear in episode 1. I give you a couple more episodes to give me examples of this, and now we're 5 episodes in and we're still kind of doing the same thing. But I am going to stick with the show because I feel like this episode gave me a lot of reasons to feel like it is going to escalate. It is going to make a more profound statement, and we are going to see some things a little bit more entertaining. I'm just concerned that it's going to happen too late. No one's going to be in on this show by that point, and that's going to be it. But we'll see. Couple of thoughts before I close out. I think it was interesting that after Patty wakes up, Kurt's in the kitchen. He's made breakfast, and he's like, let's talk. And she looks confused, and he's like, you don't even remember. And he's like, I proposed to you at the outside the drugstore. And I'm like, I forgot about that too. Like, that's how bland and uninteresting Kurt is, that not only did the character in the show forget that he proposed, but I forgot that he proposed, because he's that uninteresting. So I thought that was a nice little touch. I don't know if the show expected us as viewers to have forgotten, but I did. And then that guy Nick, who was threatening Patty over the drugs that he showed up in her shop. He was sitting on the stoop. That guy is I think his name's Robin Lord Taylor, something like that. But he's the guy that played the Penguin on Gotham. So it took me a minute because I'm like, I know this guy, but he looks way different on this than he did on Gotham. So if you saw Gotham, you could have watched Gotham and still not known it was that guy. He has a pretty distinctive voice, but his appearance is nothing like. It was really tough to figure it out. It was like, I know who this is, I recognize his voice, but who the fuck is this guy? But all in all, I thought this was probably the strongest episode so far. It really does seem like we're about to cross over into something a little bit more serious, a little bit more interesting, that has a little bit more to say, and I'm looking forward to that. So there's only 3 episodes left, so I'm gonna hang in. I'm gonna review all 3 of those on this channel, regardless of how I feel about them. I know last week I said I was trying to debate whether or not I was gonna stop or stay in, and this episode didn't necessarily. It wasn't like, it didn't knock my socks off, but this episode was strong enough to make me want to see how this plays out, especially as it pertains to my perception of how the show is going and the perception of whoever that was in the comments. Again, shout out to you who said that they think that this is that the sitcom thing is masking a much darker a situation with Kevin. I think that's probably the case. So looking forward to seeing if that does happen. If that doesn't happen, I think ultimately this show will be a failure. Was really just something that was like, hey, here's a cool concept, and then you don't do anything with it, which I think getting on the cusp of doing something brave and profound and stopping short is actually might be a little bit worse than just not doing anything brave at all. It's almost a little cowardly, but I don't think the show is gonna get to that point, but that's a concern of mine. But I'm rambling, so I'll see you guys next week for episode 6. Peace.